All right, everybody, welcome to our wrap up for the Gents Challenge, the latest Gents Challenge called the Buddy Cop Gents Challenge. All right, first off, I wanted to say what the Gents Challenge is. If you're new to the channel, it's a challenge where we're partnered up with someone on our Discord server. There's a bunch of gamers on there, and you're partnered up with someone, and you assign each other games from your list that you put together from your backlog of video games that you need to finish. So if you finish one game within the 2-month deadline, you're a gent. If you finish both games, you're a supreme gent. If you finish neither, you're a rascal. If you want to go check out our first video we did on this challenge, you can check that out from a couple months ago. And Luke, we're joined once again with Luke on his what's his second gents challenge overall, right?
That it is.
All right.
Second video, second challenge.
How's it going? How's it going, everybody?
Oh,
Oh,
good.
well, I was very successful this time around. So pretty good for me. Pretty good for me.
I gotta say, what
Yeah.
a turn of fate here. When we started the last gents challenge, we came in this video. Luke had already finished his first game,
True.
and now
Yeah,
we come
that's
here today, and Alec and I both finished both of our games, and Luke has only finished one.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing's changed at all.
Uh,
What happened? What's going
I,
on?
I had a lot of Miku presented in front of me. There was a lot of singing and dancing, and basically just got distracted. I mean, on top of not really
Same old
playing at
song
my
and
computer
dance.
too much, I was playing other stuff. I made the mistake of dipping my toe in other things. I started like Cyberpunk, which is a long
Oh,
game.
Yeah, it's I
Just-
that I had that assignment on
Yeah.
the last Gens challenge, and I still haven't beaten it. It's just because I was doing that in my because it's in my room. I have it on PC, Steam. So I don't spend like as much time in here as I probably should. The absolute state of my room constantly would tell anybody that, but the yeah, that game's amazing. So I can understand being
Yeah.
distracted by Cyberpunk.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that I was still playing. I was talking up UFO 50 last time. I'm still trying to beat all that too. Just a lot of. I mean, not to talk about every game I was playing.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't as focused as perhaps Hatsune needed me to be. So I apologize. to-
yeah. Well, about how far into it did you get? Like how much?
Not super. I mean, it's you have to hit like I think 39 is like a big. Is that the Hatsune Miku number? Are you guys familiar with the lore?
I'm gonna be real. I'm as giant, massive, big of a weeb as I am. I'm not really that versed in Vocaloid. I like own Miku figures.
Yeah.
A lot of VTubers I follow are like Miku heads, and they like know a bunch of Vocaloid music, and I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever. I was like, I don't know
I
any of this stuff.
I think 39 was like the end level, and that was my goal. And I got to like a quarter of that,
Oh, okay,
So I'm like-
yeah,
12 or something, I think.
yeah,
Which,
that is a
you
lot.
know,
There's a lot of Vocaloid
Yeah.
to power through, especially because it's like, even though it covers a lot of different like genres and stuff, there is a very similar vibe to most of the music.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of the same thing.
It was nice. I had a good plan to like, just run 2 or 3 songs every night or whatever, and just
Mhm.
I had time, but on top of playing other stuff, I hadn't really been at my computer much. Also, like you said, so
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
it happens. It's a shame because I was Supreme Gent last challenge, and it would have been cool to
Keep it
keep
going.
that going. But
Yeah. Well, you can't be caught slipping next time. Next time we come around, you gotta make sure you're not slipping down to rascal status after
Oh, no.
after this.
It's a
Only for
slippery
movies.
slope. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I've been a rascal plenty of times, so
we've been
I know
there.
how it goes.
We've been there, but I've been on a hot
Been there.
streak, and I was trying to keep that alive because the last all the movie challenges I was supreme, and then the last Gents challenge or 2 I was a supreme gent too. So I wanted to keep the streak going.
Mm.
And the book challenge, the scholars challenge we did this year too. So I managed to get it. The haters doubted. The haters doubted that I could finish. I was one of
I
the
did
most
actually-
likely rascals. People were saying
I,
on the streets.
I did kind of doubt you
Yeah.
when you were saying that you started playing Okami in like the last week. I don't know if you started in the last week, but you were like really, putting the hammer down on the last week. I'm like, oh, I don't know if you're gonna have time. It's a long game,
It's
so
way too long, by the way. All right.
yeah.
So the first game I had was Ghost of Tsushima. All right. I
My
put
most
it,
anticipated game of 2020 that I never still haven't played.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, I put in pretty much almost the same exact amount of time on both of these games. It was like around 40-ish hours,
Wow.
approximately. Sometimes I'll like have the game running and I'm wondering how much that clock runs up, but
Mhm.
it's an amazing game right here. This is like top tier of the Gents Challenge games I've played. It's up there. Like arguably the best. It's like in the top 3 discussion for my favorite Gents Challenge games.
Wow.
Really good. It's like, it's interesting because I just played Hogwarts Legacy earlier this year. And you go into this, a lot of these open world type games follow a similar type of format. You look at the map and there's all these different things you can go do. And they have an equivalent for each game. But I really liked how this handled. It was like feudal Japan and really infused that into everything that was part of the open world elements really well. And it was really nice. And I still had tons of side stuff I want to do, the DLC, which I accidentally actually triggered the DLC. I didn't know I was going. I was like, oh, you can go to this island over here, and I go there, and it's like, this is the DLC, and you can't leave until you finish these missions.
Oh.
All right.
No.
Locked in.
So I was stuck there for a bit, but I want to go back.
I think that happens
Really
with Cyberpunk as well. Actually, I think
Oh.
if you have Phantom Liberty, I think
Mhm.
it's pretty well notated from what I understand. I haven't gotten far enough in the game to sort of access that point, but
Mhm.
I believe, over halfway through. So,
Nice. Yeah, I see the little Phantom Liberty like quest in my log, and I'm like, I'm gonna avoid that for now. But
yep, yeah.
even though I think if I tried to, it'd be like, come back later. You're not ready.
You're not ready.
You don't got the stuff.
You're not ready for Idris Elba yet.
No. I was gonna say I remember that happening to me when I played Witcher 3. I was like about to beat it, and then I was like, oh, I should see what like this is about. And then that was like the beginning of the like you make a bet with like Satan or something, and I was like, oh, it's the whole thing now. I just gotta go back and beat the game. I don't have time for this guy.
Yeah. It's really
It
beautiful
happens.
game though. It's like one of the best looking games I've played. Period. Like I think it uses. I'm playing on the PS4 and I really wouldn't know the difference. It feels like I'm playing a PS5 game. I just think it's really well done. The combat's pretty fun. And there's some stealth elements, which usually I don't like stealth in games, but it actually does it really well in this game. And it's usually optional, so it's fun how they incorporate that. It's a cool story as well, so I don't have many complaints when it comes to that game. Amazing experience.
Wow.
Absolutely. And then my second game was IGN's Okami.
IGN. So, yeah,
I didn't know
got the little watermark on
Where is
the
it?
box.
Yeah.
I
don't know if you'll
think
be
it's
able to
like
see
right
it,
by.
but
Yeah,
probably not going to see it on the camera.
the watermark I believe is right by Amaterasu's chest,
Yeah.
from memory.
IGN watermark on there. So this is a fun game, very Zelda-esque, Zelda inspired. Gives that same kind of vibe. Nice cel shaded look, really going into the whole Japanese brush stroke type art style. My biggest problem with this game is the length. First of all, I think it is too long. Like they literally could have chopped like 15 hours off of this, and I think it would have been better for it. Also, people tried to get me to play Okami HD. They don't play the Wii version, but I'm like, I have the Wii version. I'm gonna play the Wii version.
That's
But it's ass. Oh, it's
yeah.
I hate, the
Huge
mo-
mistake.
Yeah.
the motion controls aren't great. I can't tell you, especially early on. Eventually, you find a way to get it more consistent. But especially early on, I was like trying a million times for it to do a certain thing, and it was not doing the right thing.
Which is weird because with the brush strokes, you would think that with the pointer it would work pretty well, but yeah,
Right,
I've heard
like-
other stuff.
Like
other
conceptually,
things
it
that-
works really well. Like you would think
Yeah.
it'd go hand in hand, use the Wii remote brush strokes, but I like how they tie everything together. How everything is kind of thematically brought together by this using the brush strokes. But it's interesting, like with this whole, on the outside you wouldn't think it, but there's like a character, your main side character is like a super perv. Like every single woman you run into, he's like, look at the rack on her, you know?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like, what the
Oh
hell?
man, 2000s wacky side character.
He's a little guy too, right? He's like a little bug or something.
Yeah.
This little freaky bug.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because there's like the way you're like introduced to him, essentially, very. I think like the opening scene is he's like in her dress and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I wouldn't mind getting back in there," you know. It's like, and that's literally every woman you see. He'll at least drop like a sweetie, you know. He's like, "Hey, sweetie, how can I help?" Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But the dude designed like these like, you know, these like goddess type women that come in the mix. They have like these big hanging knockers from the comment on, you know. It's like like very artistic. Like they had like an actual like peach on the back of one of them, like as part of her design. It was like, I don't know. It was just wild, like the contrast, not knowing, like going into this game. It's like, oh, what a beautifully artistic game and out the gate. But there is some fun humor otherwise. That's like really fun personalities with different characters and running gags you get into. Have either of you played Okami?
I have not.
I
meaning to.
I was gonna say I forget how far I am into it, but I had it on the Switch. I probably got like 15 hours in, as you said. I probably got distracted by something else.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of those games where like I thought it ended, and then it keeps going.
It does.
I think
It
you
does
don't
keep
you like
doing
beat
that too.
Orochi or whatever his name is, the big serpent, and then it's like, no, you got to do that like 2 more times.
There's a couple times where it really feels like it's ending. Like it'll even go into the whole like artistic like storytelling moment. I'm like, oh, here we go. But I was like, no, I'm still missing more of these brush techniques, so it can't be over.
I think you might know how far I was. I was like the village with all the dogs. Was that far into it, or am I?
You got quite a ways to go, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Like it feels like that would be. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably like halfway.
Yeah, it's been a long time too. I definitely gotta revisit because I feel like the Switch, the motion might even be better on that version. Not to be one of those guys who's like, oh, you should have played the other version.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember it controlling pretty well. If you'd ever replay it and that's a sticking point for you, have that to consider in your back pocket.
I think I don't own a physical copy of that game. I think I bought it on a sale on the PS3 like ages ago. So I have the HD PS3 version, which I'm sure is kind of scuffed compared to like the, you know, HD ports on the PS3. Some of them were kind of amazing, but looking back on them now, they're a lot of times they're pretty scuffed. Actually,
you
really need that PS4
nowadays.
horsepower.
You're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because like you get an HD port, and then a few years later, that HD port is now outdated. You know, it's like now I have to update my HD port.
Got to remake The Last of Us again. It's getting old.
I know.
Remake The Last of Us
Part
again. 1
remastered remake would be good, like a reimagining of the remastered version.
Yeah, reimagine.
I think another thing with Okami is that I'm not a big fan of the combat. I feel like in general I wouldn't be, but also I'm just waggling. It's one of those waggle type things as well. But there's also a ton of content on that game too that I didn't even touch, like tons of different like monsters you can go out and find and collect different things. So Ghost of Tsushima, obviously something much more on my priority list to go back and get more on, because tons of stuff on the map plus the DLC. But overall, enjoyed it. My nice feudal Japan meets Japanese mythology theme worked out, and glad I was able to power through and get it done there.
Good stuff.
Alec, you're up.
Yeah, so I played through Phoenix Wright. I played it while I was believe I was discussing that I went down to Virginia to visit my family. My brother's 30th birthday. We did or 30th, 40th birthday. We did a little get together for him down there, and but I was still finding time to play even while I was there. And I don't remember exactly when I beat it. I think it was towards the middle, towards the end of October. I beat Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, and yeah, that last case was very long. Like, kind of everybody had said, when I'd said like, oh yeah, I'm done like case 4, and now there's unlocked another case, and everyone was like, yeah, that case is like really long. And they weren't lying. I think just based on stuff about that case in general, that was clearly, like, I think without even looking up, I was like, oh, this one was added in the DS version of the game. Like, I don't think this was in the original Game Boy Advance version in Japan, because it started using 3D models. There started being things where you started actually like having to look at items and like pick them up and like rotate them. So, which is like, that was not in any of the other 4 cases in the game. And then the final case is had a lot of that.
That's the one in the police station, right? I think you're
yes.
right that was added in.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, so because there's a lot of the police station is that case was really good. In fact, I'd say the last 2 cases were like incredible. Both of them were like super well written, and the twists and turns in them were just like perfectly done, like immaculate. Because especially because there was like foreshadowing to certain things in earlier parts that like I saw, but then paid off, and then that was really satisfying because it's like, oh, I feel like this is gonna have to come back. And yeah, the third case was really boring. I did not actually like that one very much at all. It didn't really start to get interesting until there are parts of it that I liked because it's based on like a TV show. It takes place, I think, on Christmas. Like, that's the one that takes place on Christmas Day, or maybe no, maybe not. Maybe it's not.
Is that the Steel Samurai one, or is that
Samurai? Yeah, the Steel Samurai one. Yeah. My problem is with it was just like navigating was really annoying. Because like you had to like there was like this and I'll get to navigating being really annoying in a second in my next game. But there was like a point of it where it's like there's a couple different lots, but you have to like go back. You can't like just pick from a menu like what place do I want to go to. You have to like travel back and go to this one, and then sometimes you have to like travel back here to go to this other place. Then like I was just getting like turned around and being like, is this that way or was this way? And it gives you a map, and the map barely helps. And then and yeah, it doesn't really start to get interesting until like the last quarter of the case, and then I was like, oh, this ended up being pretty good, but the rest of it was really dull, and that was too bad.
I think
and then the first 2 cases were really fun too.
I whenever I kept going back to Phoenix Wright, I've replayed like the first couple episodes so many times, because then I'll like stop and then I'll go back to it and go back to it. But yeah, I do remember. I think I got up to that case, and that's where I've gotten to.
The third case is but the thing is like case 4 totally worth powering through that. It's so good. The writing in it is so good, and the writing in the final case is great too. So
it's a game I know I would love seeing all the way through. So I definitely want to do that.
I love how they lean into and I think I talked about this when I was talking about it before, but I like how they sort of lean into the fact that sometimes it can be a little frustrating when you're localizing something and you have to change, like when they're doing so, they change like the meaning of certain things. But with Phoenix Wright, it's this weird thing where they sort of have to, because a lot of the comedy of it in Japanese is based on like wordplay that just does not translate to English particularly well at all. So they had to force a different kind of wordplay, and almost Americanize everything. But it still has like a lot of Japanese elements to it as well. So it's this weird like American Japanese blend. But the game doesn't like. The game kind of almost makes fun of it. It feels like it's winking its eye at you, like you know that this is not an American setting, even though it is in America. But it is also not really a Japanese setting either. So I have no problem with how they handled it, and it was a lot of fun. Like I said, the writing was really good. So, so yeah, that was great. I mean, I don't remember where I ranked it. I honestly have to go through my all my games and sort of re-rank everything. I think at some point, it's in need of a look over. But I really enjoyed my time with it, and I'm definitely going to be playing the other two games at some point in the future. My second game.
Wait, isn't that's a kind of a beautiful thing when you like catch up on something years later, and now you got this series. There's like so many different games.
Yeah, there's tons of games. Yeah, there's like a 4, 5, and 6 collection. I think that's an import cartridge that I need to pick up. Which I don't remember which games are included in that. And then there's a Miles Edgeworth. I think it's the Miles Edgeworth trilogy. It's also been released on a cart.
I think so.
Which I think the second or the third one never got released. Or I don't remember if there's one or two of those.
I think it might just be 2. And the second
two.
one was Japan only for
a really long time.
And then there's the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles as well.
I picked that up a while back. But yeah, those are I know scuttlebutt from fans that the fan base is actually pretty split on the Great Ace Attorney. Some people really love it, and some people are not really huge fans of it.
Yeah, I think my brother always speaks very highly of it.
Yeah,
and he's played all of them.
Yeah, and then there's I don't remember where Apollo Justice goes in. Is that in like 4, 5, and 6? Is that where?
I think so. I think you're right.
It's like 4 is Apollo Justice, and then 5 and 6 are the 3DS exclusive ones, I think. Yeah. Great. I mean, I call me a Phoenix Wright fan. I really liked it a lot. And I love Miles Edgeworth. He's my favorite character. He's wonderful. I love the kind of the rival characters are always fun, and he's great. So
let's get to the goat. Come on.
Let's get to the the goat is the missing heir. What?
Famicom Detective Club, baby.
So Famicom Detective Club: The Missing Heir is a remake, a 2021 remake of a 1988 point-and-click Famicom game, and boy, does it feel like it a lot of times. I will say it's an interesting juxtaposition with Phoenix Wright, because Phoenix Wright is very over the top, very like Saturday morning cartoon-ish in terms of his presentation.
Hair flying
Famicom
off.
Detective. What's that?
People's hair flying off.
People's hair flying off and screaming objection, and
when they get caught in the trial stand and they blow up and
they explode and they're like sweating, and like the judge is just just goofing off on the stand. It's just like, the judge is having to be reminded of how law works.
Like, oh, sorry, I wasn't listening. What was
going on? What'd you say? Could you repeat that? The Missing Heir, Famicom Detective Club: The Missing Heir, is way more grounded. It is a sort of supernatural. There's a supernatural element to it, where as you're kind of looking into this case of sort of mysterious death, there's rumors that there's a curse around this family that you're doing the case for. And so things start to happen, more murders start happening, and it does seem like at least the villagers are all convinced that this curse is real and that there really is like supernatural stuff going on. And some of the stuff you're finding out doesn't really make sense either. So there is like an element of like trying to figuring out like what is real, and like what if there is a supernatural element at play. For the most part, as the detective, you're very much like, well, you're not really buying into it. The main character's not really buying into it per se, but it's just really interesting to see how that all played out. I think the story as a whole takes way too long to get interesting. I was enjoying it more for its it is a slow burn story, and I can appreciate those. I do like a good slow burn story, and I think overall I really like the story a lot in that game. The problem is all in the gameplay. The menu based gameplay just had not aged particularly well, and it felt like it was sort of held back by the limitations of the game when it was on the Famicom. I don't know how much cleaning up they had to do with that when they were remaking it, but it didn't feel like they did enough. Because there's a lot of parts of the game where you literally have to click on the same thing multiple times in a row. After you've already exhausted all your options, and I'm just like, there are times where I was like completely locked in dialogue, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to find out. They're just saying the same thing. There are other times where you have to like specific combination of selections will get you like, oh, you have to repeat that one again and then go back to this one, and then that will get you. There's one particularly egregious moment which I had to look up, where you literally have to shout at an empty cliff 3 times in a row when your character has said multiple times, I shouldn't be talking to this cliff. I'm like, why would you do this? Why did you do this to me? It was so stupid.
Yeah, it's like, I can imagine playing it like the original version, trying to fuck your way around to finding out how to do that. Like,
I mean, like,
no help at all. Just
you can't logic your way into some of those things. It's like, click on this 3 times. So
that was very, very frustrating. I felt that was like, there were times when I was playing it and I was literally wanting to do pretty much anything else, and that sucked. Like, it took me, I think on my Switch, I think it says that I played the game for like over 20 hours or over 25 hours or something, and it's like, that's not true, because there are times where I'd literally like figure out what to do, and then I'd be on my phone doing dailies on Nikkei, or or something, or like scrolling through Twitter or Discord and messaging people, and then I'd look up and my Switch was like practically shutting down because it was on the power save setting. So I was like, cool, I was just sitting here for an hour not doing anything with the game just running, because it sucked the fun out of it for me. But I'm glad I stuck it out to the end, because after, I think there's like 11 or 12 chapters, I don't remember, I think there's 11. After about chapter 6, it really, really picks up. And I did like all of those chapters like all in the same night. Like, I was like, oh, this is getting like really exciting and really good now. And then I just played through the whole rest of it. So yeah, it's definitely not for everybody. I would not fault anybody for giving up on that game. But I wanted to see it through to the end, because I know people have said that they cleaned up a lot of those issues in the newer one. I think people have even said that the second game, The Girl Who Stands Behind, they even from that, like, because I think that game came out like a year or 2 years later in Japan, and that has been hailed as like one of the in Japan has been hailed as like one of the classics of the genre, like a super influential game. Like a lot of visual novel writers will cite that game in particular as a huge inspiration. So from what I understand, that is a little bit less clunky. It's probably still clunky. Who am I kidding? But from what I understand, it's a little less frustrating in terms of some of the menu crap that you have to sift through. But yeah, so overall very satisfied. Positives for it: presentation, music, all of the visual stuff in it being a point and click visual novel, very solid. Like, really, really good. I really liked how there's some segments of it are actually animated like an anime, which is really cool. Where characters like will move around and talk. There'll be like those slash cuts, and then characters will like move a little bit. Very rare, but I always appreciated when they did the little added touch like that. So yeah, good stuff. Not one of my favorite games I played. I would recommend, probably, just if this sounds horrible to you, if you have an interest in older games like this, I definitely recommend it. But if it's like, I would just watch like a Let's Play of it or something just to get the story, because the story is really legitimately good. I think the story's, especially for a game in 1988, you didn't have like a lot of, I mean, it's like a text it's a point and click adventure game more or less. So, yeah, I mean it was good. I was very very happy with it.
But Epic Mickey is
With
better.
the story. No, it is absolutely not. I don't like Epic Mickey at all. I think that game is doomed to be like it's very telling of a game that I clown on all the time. Sonic Adventure 2 is above Epic Mickey because I had more fun playing Sonic Adventure 2. Epic Mickey was not really that fun. I did not have much fun playing that game.
Luke, are you a
So-
Sonic Adventure 2 or Epic Mickey fan?
I've played them both. I've beaten them both.
Oh,
I feel like I probably do agree that Sonic Adventure, they're not great, but I put so much time into the Chow Garden as a kid that I like have to like them at this point.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, it's wasted time.
I like
So-
I like the story of Sonic Adventure 2. It's stupid and I love it. Shadow the Hedgehog is probably my favorite Sonic character.
He's coming to the big screen.
He's coming to the big
Thank
screen,
you.
played by Keanu Reeves. I'm
Yeah.
really pumped about that. I will say the Sonic and Shadow stages pretty great. Tails and Eggman stages are not great, but they're fine. They're serviceable. The Knuckles and Rouge levels, I wanted to throw the controller.
But at least you get the Knuckles and Rouge music.
It's true, yeah.
It goes crazy. That Pumpkin Hill and
That Pumpkin Hill.
Aquatic Mine.
Pumpkin Hill does
Okay.
go pretty hard. Yeah, Aquatic Mine does too, yeah, but Pumpkin Hill goes way harder than it should.
And
The one Knuckles level in space starts off with a really great line too. I forget what it is, but he's like, "We out here in the asteroid belt. Are you ready?" Like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, let's do this right now.
Then you're just running around aimlessly for like 30 minutes. But
Yeah, and it's pain.
And
it's just pain.
Epic Mickey better or worse than that game?
It's probably worse. I feel like that's another game like where it drags on for a long time. It starts off and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's like the Small World clock. Yeah, okay, I know that guy." And then they start like, "Remember Clarabelle?" And I'm like, "Kinda, sure, all right." And then they hit you with the good stuff way too early.
They do. There's so much about that. That's another one where like I see the vision. I see the vision for that game.
I see it.
I see the potential. And it just did not reach any of it.
The side scroll levels are cool, where you're like in the old cartoons.
Yeah, those
And
are
you're like in like the Night one and the Steamboat Willie one.
yeah, they're cool. What wasn't cool was having to play through them every damn time you wanted to move between worlds. I hated
Oh,
that. I hated
forgot
that so much
was-
because you had to do that and it sucked. It was so horrible.
I wonder
Yeah.
if
I played that, like, when
Rebrushed
it came
did
out.
anything.
What's that?
Do you think Rebrushed made any like quality of life improvements or?
So this is one thing that I think would have been a saving grace, and they did not change it in Rebrushed, is voice acting.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because like all of those Disney characters, I love me playing some Kingdom Hearts and hearing Bill Farmer be goofy. I love that so much. Hearing Mickey Mouse, I
That's
love
smart.
I
Hearing
love
them say, "Did someone mention the door to darkness?" And-
the door that did somebody mention the door of darkness? And it's just like Mickey Mouse standing there in a freaking black robe. It's ridiculous. And that's a game, like I would say Epic Mickey has that sort of like dark edge, the like cool edge that you thought was awesome when
It's
like
epic.
Sonic.
It's absolutely epic.
When you were
Was that
when you were a kid. And so like I don't know. There's a lot of I see the vision, there's a lot of potential in that game, and I see a better game in there, but it just is was a slog.
Was Epic Mickey 2 that better game, or did that also just fail?
I didn't play it. I know that one was like
Neither did
an
I.
actual musical, which is interesting.
Really?
I don't know how well that worked, but there's two of them. There's the Power of Two, which I believe is the Power of Illusion 3DS version, like that game, and then there's the something of Two. Maybe it was Power of Two, Power of Illusion, because it was that was it. Power of Illusion was the 3DS game because it was based on like Castle of Illusion.
Mhm.
So the classic Genesis Mickey Mouse game. But Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's any good. I have to ask Rusty. Rusty probably. I feel like he had to have played it.
No, I think he kept having that on his Gents challenge list. Actually, Epic Mickey too, and I don't know if he ever did.
Oh.
But yeah, we take that name for granted now. Like we just say Epic Mickey, like that's just the normal name for a game.
Yeah.
Epic Mickey.
Yeah.
It's like
That was the year of the Epic. There was the
Yeah.
Epic movie, Epic Mickey.
Yeah.
Like there's Epic
It's
Rap
just-
Battles of History was
The
going
Epic
off.
ERB, yeah.
Yeah.
Epic was kind of a big word at the time. It's true.
So
That's
epic.
pretty epic, bro.
So any thoughts on any other games that people played or how the challenge went?
My boy Broccoli Guardian, he failed.
That was the one I put my money on, the most likely to be a rascal. So
Yeah. I was saying to him, I was telling him, I was like towards the end of getting to the middle of November, I was like, hey man, you got to put some time in your game. And he was just like, nah.
No.
He's like, don't worry, I got this. He's like, I'm in the middle of, what was he was playing something at the time. He's like, oh, he played through all of Persona 5.
That takes a while.
He played through all Persona 5 Royal, and then he played through, he was like deep in something else when I was talking to him. So he's like, hold on, I gotta play through that. And then I was like, isn't it kind of rough to have played a masterpiece like Persona 5 and then going to Y2K, a postmodern RPG starring our favorite character, Alex, or as we affectionately call him, Alex Yeek.
Alex. I loved the I guess concession speech, and he's like, I can't take this anymore. I can't take it anymore.
That's
I loved reading that. That was
We need one of those from all the rascals. I feel like, explain yourself.
Explain your that was probably the best explain yourself that I've seen in a long time. So kudos to him for that. He's just like, I can't take it. I can't take him. He's the worst character.
And we only had 2 rascals this time. It was him and Soul, who, even though Ninja Penguin, he kept trying to get him like, hey, you want to play Pikmin 4? Just stop neglecting Pikmin 4. And then I saw him post like he was playing Minish Cap. That was the other game. So I was like, there's no way he's playing Pikmin 4. But then, yeah, that just didn't happen. Soul's hit or miss with these Gents challenges. Yeah.
And well, the thing with him is that I think he even explained there were some times where he's like, I can do it if I can just get a hold of my console, because I think there's some stuff because he works because he lives in Canada. And I know he works. I think it's like week on, week off. So I think his console is sometimes not always present where he is. So. Let me scroll through, see some of these others here.
But a very successful Gents challenge again. We're getting more and more consistent to where you're actually more and more the exception to be if you're the rascal. It's like a large majority are Gents, if not Supreme Gent. Like we had more Supreme Gents than Gents.
So my friend Tara, she finally played through Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Game
immediately.
that I've been
same story as Luke.
Yeah. Well, and then I talked to her about that because I have game nights with her and my friend Josh, and so I was like, so how's Final Fantasy V going? She was like, yeah, I just played one classic, Super Nintendo RPG, and then I started right into Final Fantasy V, and I was like, I think I need a break.
It's valid.
So she's been playing tons of other stuff instead.
But we were so
which is very fair. I
we
think.
had so much faith, though. We were like, clearly the first, because we were trying to call the first Supreme Gent. Little did we know, by the time we uploaded that, right before we uploaded it, it was my brother Chrome Ball Z was a Supreme Gent then. But
yeah, very easy. I mean, he kind of a slam dunk.
He did,
honestly.
But we thought, man, if she tore through Chrono Trigger in 2 days or whatever it was.
Imagine how fast she'll do Final Fantasy.
The thing about Final Fantasy V is that Chrono Trigger is a perfect story gameplay blend. Final Fantasy V is a fairly dull story with likable characters, but it's a fairly dull story, and it's really gameplay focused. It has I would say maybe one of the best gameplay systems, at least in terms of the early Final Fantasy games, because of the job system, and it allows you to sort of retain skills that you learn in each job, and then so it's really great. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but Matt might have, maybe the dull story. I mean, that's why I've never gone back and finished it, because like I like the characters, but the story is just not my favorite. So eventually I'll go back and play through that at some point. But
Anything else? Anything else stand out?
Had some more Resident Evil 2 remakes. Big ups
right.
for my past challenge. Good game. Black
Mhm.
Mesa, I love to see getting representation as well. It's a great. You guys played Half-Life, because who was that?
Mr. Kingdom
Mr.
Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts boy. He was like the best part of that game was the Zen section blew me away, and I was like, man, you got to play the original Half-Life. I don't know if you guys have dabbled, but the end of that game is so boring and like not good at all.
Yeah.
They blew it out of the water with the remake though. Like
That
that was its own update, and they made it's so beautiful, and there's like cool set pieces, and you go to like the Vortigaunt village and everything. Before it was just like a dull like platforming challenge.
mm,
You fight a
I
big baby.
I that's weird. No, I remember with Black Mesa being when it was like, because the devs that worked on it released it, like I think it was like 70% done or
Yeah.
something when they first released it. And it was actually Tara. I was roommates with her in college, and she played through. She would like played through it like when it released. And I remember watching it and being like really, really very impressed at like how good it looked. For and I mean the fact that it still looks really pretty
Yeah. Oh, it
solid
looks
now.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a testament to they can really make that Source engine sing,
Mhm.
with the right art direction. But
And we've had years to master it
yeah,
too. It's
yeah,
people know it in and out by now.
no, yeah, big
All the
time.
mods and all the games have gone into it.
It's interesting. I didn't talk to my boy Dubs about what he thought about Jack and Daxter. I didn't really talk to him actually much about Final Fantasy VII Remake either.
Yeah, he wasn't very
Um,
as vocal as usually is in the Discord.
yeah. But it was funny because he kept being like, "Ah, yes, I'm playing through this with my friend watching," and I'm like, "Dubs, it's me. You can say that it's me.
I said it's bad
Everyone
for press.
knows me."
I said it's bad press to be associated.
I was like, "Wow, okay, he's gonna throw shade." But it was funny because they for some reason screen share on PS4 or PS5. The final chapter of Final Fantasy VII Remake is still blocked
Mm-hmm.
for spoilers.
Spoilers for
It
you.
was yeah, it was like
And that's like the first remake, because there's a second one
the
now.
2020. Yeah, Rebirth. Yeah. That's
I still
from
have to play that game.
2020. It's crazy. It's crazy that it did that. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's very weird that it's still like that, but yeah, I think he overall really enjoyed it. I think he's probably from he didn't want to talk to me about it because I've learned this from other people. He didn't really want to talk to me about it because he knows I love the game, and I don't think he really liked the last bits of the game very much. But he overall did enjoy it. He was watching me play through because he doesn't have a PS5, but he was watching me play through the Yuffie, the DLC, the episode intermission, because I was playing through that on hard mode to get all the trophies. So, yeah, I mean, I got distracted. I was actually towards the end of beating the missing heir because I got drawn into trophy hunting. I've been doing that. I've been doing cleanup on some old games. I got the platinum in Medal of Honor Frontline HD.
Ooh.
I've been working on, speaking of rhythm games, I've been working on the platinum for Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. I've kind of just entered sort of a flow state at times where I'm just like, man, I play that game for like hours at a time, and I'm just loving it. Just loving playing through bits of that game. And going for the platinum in that is fun because it's actually like kind of trying to figure out like a puzzle, like trying to figure out like what combinations of characters and what abilities to do what to like beat these quests in each chart, and it's fun. But yeah, anyway. Holy Hand Grenade did he even start Nuts and Bolts?
I don't
Do we
know.
know?
I thought for sure he
I
would do
don't.
it.
He didn't say
He
a whole lot about
streams
it.
a lot
Yeah.
because he finished that early on too. Banjo Tooie.
Mm.
Mm.
Hmm.
I'm a nuts and bolts apologist myself.
Mm.
I think it's a very fun game,
Oh, interesting.
but obviously not the game that the fans have been waiting for
Still waiting.
And
after
I
years
got
of no
Still
banjo
waiting.
games. Still
still
waiting,
waiting.
yeah.
I got plenty of hot takes. I'm a big fan of Metroid Other M, so like, you know, yeah, nobody likes that game.
No.
I do. I think it's great. But
I remember in Nuts and Bolts there's a level where like you have to pick up all this trash and put it in this massive trash can. And I was building like this big staircase because like oh well like because you can trick the game sometimes by building these weird not even cars. I was just
Mhm.
walking up the staircase to put stuff in the trash can instead of like building a helicopter or whatever. But then at some point my staircase falls over because the physics are kind of janky. But I knocked over the trash can too, and it started sucking up trash next to it, and I was like, I just I felt like when you first flip that one Sheikah puzzle in Breath of the Wild, like I was like, I just cracked this case wide open. I
yeah,
don't.
yeah, you're just like
It's such a
and
cool
it, yeah,
feeling, and there's a
you're like,
lot of
oh,
that. There's a lot of that in that game.
Okay.
It's kind of cool if you give it a chance, but you
I
know,
don't know
it's
I don't know if my dad ever figured out that secret about if you just flip the
yeah.
ball, then you can you can just have an easy path right to the right to the goal. I don't know if he ever figured that out or not. I never asked, but my
Right.
dad beat that game. I'm proud of my dad. I'm proud of my dad.
Yeah.
My 73-year-old dad beat played through and beat Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
So
Legend.
yeah, pretty much. And then he started it over, and I was like, Dad, you know you can keep playing on that file. He's like, yeah, but I want to do it all over again. I'll be better. It's like, uh,
All right. All right. Well, there you have it. Another Gents challenge in the books. You
In the
know,
books.
we'll have another one in a couple months. So keep in mind all the gents will be able to submit a theme for the next the poll to decide the next Gents challenge when that happens in a month and a half or so. Whenever that pops up. So be interested to see what themes come up, what we got in store
Mhm.
here. This was a fun theme. The Dubs submitted the Buddy Cop.
it was,
It
it was great. Yeah.
But thank you for joining us, Luke, once again.
Of course. Thanks for having me on again.
Anything you want to plug at this time?
Still not much going on my socials or whatever.
Plug anything.
You guys should
Shout out.
play Black Mesa and UFO 50. Still, I'll
Oh,
still
yes,
plug
right.
Oh
that.
yeah, that's right.
So,
I need to play
look at that.
UFO. I need to play
It's so
UFO
good.
50. Right.
I'll talk it up to anyone with ears. It's very well done. The Steam Awards just went through where you can nominate, your favorite Steam game. It's in like 7 of the 10 categories.
Hmm.
Ooh,
UFO 50.
nice.
It was like I'm trying to think of other games that came out that I like. Mouthwashing was really good. I played that.
Yeah, I
I
watched.
think I saw that Mouthwashing.
I watched Pete stream it, and I really liked it a lot. I thought it was
great story.
fantastic story. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Really, really creepy.
Mm.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. But yeah,
So third
So-
plug there if you want a good story.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
all I
thank
got.
you for joining us, and thanks everybody for watching.
yeah.
Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed. And in the meantime, what video should they watch next? Whether you have one in mind.
I think I want to hear what you guys had to say about the Quarry still. I still haven't watched that.
Ooh, nice.
Did you
So-
play that game?
I did. And I'm still mad. I guess I can say it now. Quarry spoilers. Not that it really matters. There's a sequence where like the girl who vlogs is in like the treehouse with the thing.
Mhm.
And I was controlling her and I didn't get bitten or hit or whatever. And then the next scene happens and she's turned. And I was like,
What?
I
Rob.
was pissed off.
What?
After that point, I was like, I'm checked out. How dare they? I think it glitched or something, but
Oh yeah, I had to.
yeah,
That's
I
weird.
still got a chip on my shoulder.
What
from
did
the
you
Quarry.
play that
Yeah.
on?
I think my friend's PS4 probably.
Okay, interesting, because I
And we
was
all
saying how my,
controlled.
my PS4 had little glitchy moments, and Alec didn't have any
Oh yeah, you
glitchy
said
moments
that.
in the
No,
PS5. So
smooth, super
Mm.
smooth. I was it was. I mean, yeah, no, it ran perfectly
Hmm.
on mine. So I wonder if it. Yeah, I wonder if there's some weird
they ironed it
previous
out, maybe.
generation jank. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the
Anyway.
other. We were all playing two characters. I forget my
Oh,
other. I
nice.
think it was like the.
That's one feature that I
Yeah, we
think
didn't
is
get to do that.
fantastic about
Yeah,
that
that
game.
was really
I
cool.
thought that was fantastic. What a great idea, because we're we're ending our episode, whatever. But a memory that I have of Until Dawn, one of my first memories of after that game came out, was it was a New Year's Eve party, and there was that I went to, and when I showed up, there was one guy playing it around a crowd of people that I didn't know that he knew. So I didn't like really hang out with him because I was like, I don't know who any of these people are, but it was really cool to just like everyone was like super invested in like everything that was going on, and I was like, that's cool. That's the brilliance of a game like that, where you can like it's a fun like horror movie type thing, and you can have a bunch of people that are really getting
Yeah.
into it. So I think having that you can play as different characters option is just such a cool little bonus to doing that, to involving everybody. So
You gotta have the right people for that too. You know, the right group of people.
mm.
You gotta have some level of
Yeah.
synergy, not one just like fucking around the whole time. You know, maybe.
Yeah, I played Detroit Become Human with the same people, and we were.
Oh, nice.
I, I think we were less invested in the story of that,
Hmm.
but I was playing as the as Marcus, and I was like trying my
You
best
were goofing around.
to overthrow the rebellion that he was the head of. I was like making every bad decisions to see what happened. It
That's
was fun though.
that yeah, a friend of mine used to, who had a Let's Play channel. It was him and two of his friends, and they were each like playing the game like they were the main. Basically, like they weren't making like decisions that would be like, oh, this is an interesting thing. They're like, no,
Mm.
I want this to, like, they were just like, I am the protagonist, my way or the highway.
Yeah.
And so like it led to this really weird, unsatisfying ending for everybody.
Everybody just dies.
So yeah,
All right. Well,
Detroit.
until next time, till the next challenge. See you later. And Luke, I'm sure we'll have you back
Yeah.
in different contexts, at least. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me
We'll
too.
do box art
Yeah, I'd love to have you
battles
back.
or something else. You know. It'll be fun. All right.
Absolutely.
Take care of yourselves. All right.
Okay.